the day before the wedding. My girlfriend's rooming information was sent to my cell phone. I don't argue and wait at home for her to come back and give me an explanation. However, not long after, her childhood friend in the circle of friends posted a two lying in the hotel bed snuggling intimate photos. The caption read, "If I'm going to lose you tomorrow, then at least let me really have you today." Emily didn't have any explanations for her arrest on the night of the incident. She just sent me a message telling me, "I'm ready for you tomorrow." When I saw this message, my heart was bitter. To her, what am I in the end? Second choice, my heart is so dull that I can't breathe. Raising my eyes to look at the carefully decorated room, I only felt incomparably ironic. I took a deep breath, suppressed the astringency in my heart, and returned her message. "Let's not get married. Let's break up." Emily didn't respond to the message. I don't know if she saw it or not, but I don't want to say a word to her either. Because I was too dirty. I tried desperately to suppress the sadness inside me. I put the carefully prepared suit back into the well-packaged box. Emily is beautiful and excellent. And has a decent job. She was an executive in corporate executive, and had reached a position that was difficult for ordinary people to reach. In the eyes of everyone, she is one of the few young and talented representatives of excellence. A lot of people think that I am a high climber, not yet married, to advise me to be understanding, to be an atmosphere of understanding of the virtuous husband. I also read her good to me, learning how to be a good husband. However, the cheating thing once will have a second time. What I want is a good and flawless marriage. Not a life that is full of messes. I can't stand this kind of thing. No one knows about my marriage except my mom and best buddy. So after I made up my mind to break up, I sent them a message to tell them about it in advance. My mom was shocked and urged me to think twice and not to do anything impulsively. Until I told her about it, she was silent. It took a while before she spoke out. "Okay. As long as you don't regret it, I'll support you." After doing these things, I cleaned up the dressed-up wedding room one by one. With the wedding cancelled, there was naturally no need to keep the wedding room. After finishing these things, I turned my cell phone directly off and fell back to sleep. As for what would happen next, I didn't care. But at noon the next day, I heard a burst of knocking sounds coming from outside the door. I deliberately pretended not to be at home, and let them knock on the door. Emily should have thought that there would be such a day when she did such a thing. But just when I was surprised that the farce was over, Emily came to the door. Her pretty face reflected obvious fatigue, and her clear eyes looked at me for an instant. "Jason, have you had enough?" Her clear voice was raspy. I came back to my senses and looked at her coldly. "What angle is a mess?" Ching's standing on to question me. "Jason, stop it. I'm really tired lately." As if she was softening, her voice lowered considerably. But for all that, she wouldn't say why they were in a hotel room that day. I let out a cold laugh. "Can you not be tired when you're swimming between two men? What does that have to do with me?" Not wanting to circle her, I crossed over and tried to walk out. Instead, she clutched her wrist. The moment the warm palm touched my wrist, I shook her hand off with a startled jerk and glared at her angrily. "Don't touch me." Emily's form trembled slightly and looked at me in surprise. She opened her mouth like she was going to say something. "Emily, if you don't want to make an embarrassing scene, stay away from me, Jason," she said, her tone heavy and containing a few hints of displeasure. "What do you want from me when you've left me alone at a wedding venue for people to shame me, and I'm tired of dealing with this? Can't you just talk to me?" "Talk about what?" "About what you did after you got in a room with someone else." "I'm sorry. Your boudoir business doesn't interest me." Emily's black eyes are like ink. His face is so heavy that it can drip water. His voice is cold. A dirty mind sees dirt everywhere. 2. Yes. My heart. I don't deserve the clean and honest you. That is not just right. Without me, you can find worthy of you. Her eyes low morose, as if in a desperate attempt to suppress the anger at the bottom of her heart, and exhaled a cloudy breath. A resignation. There is something we go back to talk about. My parents are still at home waiting for you to go back to eat. Thinking of her parents, I felt a little guilty. Emily's parents were completely different from her. Mr. Carter was kind and talkative, and Mrs. Carter was gentle and pretty. They are very kind to me, never treat me badly, and sometimes even treat me better than Emily. Perhaps it was the thought that people are all mutual. If they were good to me, I would be good to Emily. And I, as they thought, was tolerant of Emily. In life, I never let her worry. The first thing I do when I get home every day is to cook a hot meal for her. I just hope that after a tiring day out, she can come back and have a good rest. But I didn't expect. I tolerated her, but she didn't even put me in the heart. This matter is always to be clear. I didn't refuse her. It's just that I didn't take her car, but drove there myself. She blushed hard, but didn't say anything. I followed her to her parents' house. Before even entering the house, I heard her mom's words. There is no fruit at home. You go buy some of Aji's favorite food, okay? I'll go now, Mr. Carter came to the door, saw us pause for a moment, and then a kind smile appeared on his face. You're back. Come in. I'll go buy some fruits. I'll be right back. I was embarrassed and didn't know what to say. On the way here I had envisioned how they would scold me, how they would blame me. To my complete surprise, not only did they not scold me, but they greeted me with a smile on their faces. In the past, when I looked at them, I would greet them warmly, thinking to give them a good impression. But now, I couldn't call them by their names. Emily found my slippers from the shoe cabinet and put them on the floor. I pursed my lips and replaced them with a, "Thank you." She moved and looked at me with a slightly complicated gaze. I deliberately avoided her gaze and breezed inside. Mrs. Carter was still busy in the kitchen, and when she heard our voices, she hurriedly came out. Aji is here. Take a rest on the sofa. Dinner will be ready soon. She and Mr. Carter didn't spare a smile. Like the time when they ran away never happened. Seeing her full of smiles made the guilt in my heart go a little deeper. But it doesn't shake my resolve to break up. I answered and sat down on the couch. Watching the black screen TV with restraint, Emily poured a glass of water and placed it in front of me. It's not the first time you've been here. So nervous. Without looking away, I said in a light voice, because this isn't my house. Said. I added nonchalantly, not the first time. But the last time. Emily squeezed the water cup in his hand so tightly that his fingertips turned white. The tightly pursed thin lips became a straight line, as if she was deliberately restraining something. At the same time, the doorbell rang. She got up to open the door, and her childhood friend Liam's bright voice came in through the door. What's cooking at your house? It smells so good. As his words fell, he lightly changed his shoes and walked in. In his hand, he was also carrying a specially brought gift. When he saw me, he obviously froze for a moment. And the corner of his mouth pulled out a few difficult curves. Aji is here too. My cold gaze swept over him, and when I touched the slippers he was wearing, my gaze paused for a moment. His slippers were cute blue house shoes with little bears. Coincidentally, they were a pair with the uncute pink bear slippers on Emily's feet. I laughed at myself and swallowed all my words. 3 Soon it was time to eat. And Mrs. Carter, as usual, was taking care of my moods, letting Emily help me with the food, to which Emily frowned in obvious resistance. She always thought it was unclean, like they were slobbering all over each other. The current scenario had played out on a previous visit, when she was all puzzled and asked, "Why do you want to pinch each other's food? Don't you really think it's disgusting?" I was already in a rush, and when I heard that I instantly lost my mind and brought it up with other topics. By now, she still hadn't changed her mind, and disgust grew in her eyes. I laughed in a faint voice and shook my head. "Don't bother, Mrs. Carter. I'll get my own food." The smile on Mrs. Carter's face gradually stagnated and she glared at her unhappily. Then smiled again and told me to eat more. Liam raised an eyebrow and obediently pinched a piece of sweet and sour pork in front of him in her bowl. Emily's eyebrows moved slightly, but she didn't refuse. Emily's eyebrows moved slightly, but she didn't refuse. She ate the ribs he gave her with a carefree expression. Looking at the scene in front of me, I suddenly wanted to laugh a little. She disliked my touch, but accepted his currying favor at face value. If her parents weren't still here, I don't know how many nasty things I would have said. Mrs. Carter blushed suddenly and covered her lips and coughed heavily. "Don't be thick-skinned. Take care of G more too." Emily gave me a sidelong glance and reluctantly chucked a piece of shrimp in my bowl. "I'm allergic to seafood." After being together for so long, she still doesn't know. From this moment on, I don't know what I'm eating. I didn't touch the shrimp she put in my bowl. After eating, the bowl is still left alone. That one, especially obvious. I turned a blind eye to it and smiled lightly. "Thank you, Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, for your hospitality, but let me make something clear. Emily and I have broken up, and I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, that I failed you. Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter froze in place. Emily clenched her fists and stared at me in silence. On the contrary, Liam was anxious. "Jason, what are you talking about? Why did you break up for a good reason? Aren't you treating marriage as a child's play?" Looking at him knowingly, only felt disgusted. I laughed in a faint voice and asked back, "What reason is not clear to you, Jason?" Emily interrupted me with a voice. Her complexion was gloomy and full of displeasure. "I've said it all. I only treat Achin as my brother. So don't be unreasonable." Liam's face changed, somewhat unable to laugh. I looked at her bashfully, suddenly feeling a little tired. I slowly stood up, and said in a shallow voice to the confused two old men, "Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, thank you for your hospitality. Next time there is a chance for me to invite you for dinner, I suddenly remembered that I still have some things to take care of, so I will leave first." Mrs. Carter was sensible enough to see that the atmosphere was not right. She stood up reluctantly. "That's fine, Mrs. Carter, you are always welcome here. Come and visit more often in the future." It wasn't going to happen. I nodded perfunctorily. From Emily's house, I went straight to my friend's house. Had arranged the wedding car for me earlier because of the wedding. I still had to go and sort this out. My brother Ethan saw me coming and hurriedly invited me in. Following that, he took out the popcorn and sat cross-legged on the couch. "Tell me what the hell is going on with you. Personality incompatibility. 3 views. Naturally split up." I said it with ease. But my heart was split and sullen. Neither of us expected this to happen before the wedding. I didn't tell him the truth, but also just to not make it so embarrassing. And leave each other some decency. You guys have been talking for so long, and now you just think that you don't see eye to eye and make a scene. I looked at him and smiled without saying anything. Also a man, how could he not guess the general? Ethan sucked in a breath of cold air. "It can't be what I guessed. You've been cuckolded. I pursed my lips and didn't respond. Instead, he acknowledged his guess in silence. Shit. I felt that her heart was not sincere before. And it was true. This is tired of playing and want to find an honest person to take over. Don't talk so harshly. Everyone has their own choice. No one can control it. Ethan chortled coldly and said cheerfully, It's okay. Cheer up. There are so many women in the world. Sooner or later you'll find the right one. Chatted with him for a while. After dealing with the wedding car, I was in a much better mood. I also figured it out. I'm not bad. There's no need to trample on myself for the sake of irrelevant people. Adjust the mood. I returned to the company to work. Colleagues who knew that I got married during this time saw me coming to work and expressed their blessings. Look at their happy smile for me. My heart rippled through a warm current. Happy and then a burst of melancholy. Who would have thought it? I hadn't even finished the wedding candies I gave them before I went back to being single again. Little Jiang, you and your wife won't be preparing for pregnancy next, right? When that time comes, you will definitely take time off to accompany your wife to have a baby. Everyone knows that the manager position is not yours this time. If you choose your family at this time, the loss is not worth it. The coworker next door took advantage of his lunch break to move his chair and sit next to me, whispering, I did have this trouble before. I can't give up the opportunity of promotion at hand, and I don't want to abandon the small family I just set up. But now, my worries were solved. You don't have to worry. I won't be planning on it for the last few years. Won't your family be pushing for a baby? I smiled bashfully. No one is in a position to meddle in my affairs. Whatever it is, it should go with the flow. My coworker was stunned for a moment, gave me a thumbs up and complimented. You're really sober. But it's true. Life is our own. No one is qualified to tell us what to do with our lives. Bitterness flooded my heart. If I were really sober, I wouldn't have gotten to this point before turning back. Next, I focused on my work, deliberately avoiding everything about Emily. Only then did I realize that it was so easy to really want to avoid someone. I didn't see Emily for 5 days in a row, and just when I thought she'd given up, she came to my door. Emily was holding a bouquet of bright red roses in her hand, and her pretty, delicate face carried a sense of superiority that was hard to ignore. I walked coldly to the door and tried to open it. Chase, let's talk. What is there to talk about between me? I gave her a faintly sidelong glance. Get out of the way. I want to go home. That thing before was wrong of me. I came to apologize to you. I was surprised for 2 seconds, not expecting her to realize the mistake. Every time we fought before, she couldn't realize the mistake, firmly believing that what she did was right. Instead, she felt that I was the one who was being unreasonable. Let me get angry, is because she decided that after I get angry this matter is so over. Perhaps she came to me this time because she sensed my determination to break up. I stood still, not opening the door again, and looked straight at her. Emily, there's no need to apologize. We've already broken up. Gee. I didn't think of breaking up. She spoke sincerely. My parents like you, and I don't mind if you run away from the wedding. I don't mind you running away from the wedding either. Let's start over. Hearing these words, my heart was half cold again. This is the woman I've loved for 3 whole years. She wants to get back together not because she can't bear to let go of me, but because of her parents. Getting back together with me is to give her parents an explanation. But really funny. What does she take marriage for? I play it cool, the corners of my mouth lifting in a faint curve. Were you called by Mr. Carter, Mrs. Carter, to apologize to me? She was silent, answering my question wordlessly. Emily, has anyone ever told you that you're quite the hypocrite? I said in a calm, collected manner. Emily's eyes flashed with mild dismay. Like she hadn't expected me to say that about her. That's right. She was born on the starting line, and has been held in the heart of the little princess since she was a child, and also has an incomparable decent job and beautiful appearance outside. Perhaps this was the first time she had ever heard someone call her names. Emily, do you know what I want? What you want you can say, and I'll try to fulfill what I can. I curled my lips lightly and said sarcastically, you can't give it to me. What I wanted was nothing more than her exclusivity, hoping to be favored by her. However, it was such a simple idea that I couldn't be satisfied. Because she didn't have me in her heart. When it came to choosing between me and Liam, her first choice was never me. I took out my key and opened the door, and when I was about to walk in, there was a sudden resistance on the door, and Emily put one hand in front of the door, and asked, if you don't say it, how do you know I can't give it to you? As the words fell, her cell phone ringtone suddenly rang. She hesitated for 2 seconds and took the phone to look at it. I was close enough to her to see the name bouncing across the screen of the phone. It was Liam calling. Emily's face was torn and she hesitated to answer it, and the opposite side of the line didn't let up. I said, answer the phone. Don't keep people waiting. Just give me a second. She stepped back with the phone in her hand and made a show of answering it. When she wasn't looking, I snapped the door shut. I stood behind the door and watched her through the cat's eye. Outside. She looked at the closed door and sighed heavily. 6 as she picked up the phone. The person disappeared from sight. In a matter of seconds though, the corridor returned to its previous silence, as if no one had come earlier. Although I had already guessed the ending. When I saw it with my own eyes, there was still an indescribable feeling in my heart. The next day, I washed up and went to work. The moment I opened the door, I saw the roses placed in the doorway. Yesterday's bright and colorful roses after a night of placing dimmed down. No longer yesterday's scenery. It also seems to remind me of this pathetic life. When I wasn't in love with Emily, I was living in style. I vacation always like to go to the surrounding places travel card, also like to slow down to enjoy life. But she said that these are meaningless things and it's just a waste of time. Since then, I have never traveled. Even if the work is hard and tiring, I still put her first, always on call. But I forgot. Some things do more. It will become a matter of course in the eyes of others. Recalling this, I picked up the roses on the ground and went downstairs. When I saw the trash can, I threw it in. The cleaning lady next to me, Mrs. Carter, saw it and exclaimed, "Sir, the flowers are still fresh. Don't you want them?" I smiled. "I don't want it. I don't want the flowers, Emily. I don't want them either." I stopped paying attention to him, but she followed my earlier example. Would bring me breakfast early in the morning and afternoon tea in the afternoon. And it wasn't just for me. Everyone in the office had a share. My coworkers couldn't stop teasing when they saw it. "Jason, you're really lucky. Your wife is really good at interpersonal relations. She knows to help you enlist us coworkers." That's right. If I met such a wife, I would be laughing at night. Maybe this is a means for your sister-in-law to declare her sovereignty, reminding the little girls in our office in different ways. Her good intentions were met with both good and bad feedback. I cringed as I listened to them. I hadn't told them who my wife was, and I hadn't deliberately brought up family matters in the office during the week. When she did, it was purely to add to my problems. She was like this every time, doing whatever she wanted and never consulting me. But I can only put up with it, so as not to ask for trouble. If she likes to send it, let her send it. In this way, I enjoyed a few days of solitude, gradually finding my way back to my old self. However, I didn't realize that Emily's mom had invited me to celebrate her birthday with her. Mrs. Carter was very nice to me, but I knew better than to get involved in their family business, so I declined. Then Ethan asked me out to dinner, thinking it was time to relax. I agreed. But I really didn't expect him to book the same restaurant as Emily's house. I was thinking that I was on vacation today. So I went to the restaurant early because I had nothing else to do. As the waiter reminded me, I walked towards the private room. But unexpectedly, I heard a sobbing sound before I reached the door of the box. Yeah. If I'm willing to give up my current fiancé for you and try to get Mr. Carter Mrs. Carter to accept me, can we go back to the old days? Emily didn't say anything. Her back was to me and I couldn't see her expression. Liam reddened and looked at her with dismay and love in his eyes. I, however, had a heart that fell into darkness at his words. Coldness slammed up from the soles of my feet. What did he mean by this? They've been together before. 7 Chin. The past is long gone. We should all move on. Liam's words were tinged with resignation. But wasn't the reason you were with Jason in the first place because Mr. Carter Mrs. Carter was happy with him, and I can learn from him to get your parents' approval. Yeah. You clearly said you're not married to me in this life. Their conversation was like a sharp sword, poking me straight in the heart word by word. I suddenly felt heavy breathing and clenched my fists. Gee. You've come after all, Mrs. Carter's voice containing a smile came from behind me. My stiff body moved slightly. Emily snapped her head back, a hint of panic clearly flashing under her eyes as she met my gaze. Gee. When did you get here? Liam stopped the conversation and stared straight at me with unwilling and resentful eyes. I swept my cold gaze over them and said truthfully, I was here while you were reminiscing about the past. Emily was dumbfounded while Mrs. Carter stared at her like she was an enemy. Mrs. Carter moved her lips to say something. I opened my mouth before she did. Mrs. Carter, happy birthday to you, but I have an appointment with a friend today. I'm sorry I can't spend your birthday with you. Next time I'm free I'll be sure to treat you both alone. Don't rush. I'm Mrs. Carter. There are some things that I don't want to make too clear, but Emily and I really aren't right for each other, I said firmly, blandly. Since the two of them truly love each other, Mrs. Carter, you might as well try to accept it. As the saying goes, don't break up a happy home. I don't want to be the guilty party. I'm sorry. The words fell out of my mouth and I simply turned and walked out. The smell in here was so dreary. It was so stuffy that I could barely kick back. But all that stoicism instantly disintegrated as I walked out of the restaurant. The astringency scattered between my nostrils, making me unable to keep my emotions down. I really wanted to rush in and ask her, what exactly does she take me for? In the end is the second choice. Or put me as his double, but come to think of it, the answer to these two questions, not because of not love it. Because do not love. So just whoever can be. My thoughts are confused and I am shaking a little. At this time, the convenience store next to me suddenly played a song. Happy breakup. Have fun. You can find a better one. Was quite fitting. It's also quite catchy. But not appropriate to listen to right now. I looked up and swallowed back the raging astringency. After half a second of thought, I walked into the convenience store anyway. After choosing a bottle of unknown white wine, I chose a bucket of turkey noodles. Afterwards, he drove straight home. My heart is so dull that I can't breathe. I just want to let off some steam right now. The white wine accompanied the spicy turkey noodles. I ate a handful of snot and tears. I don't need to look to know how wretched I look right now. But after a self-inflicted venting, the mood was instantly much better. Only the muddled brain from drinking alcohol left me completely drained of spirit. Slumping down on the couch, eyes closed in a daze. Just then, Ethan called out of the blue. When he picked up the phone, his big grinning voice came from across the room. "Jason. You're fucking lost. Why haven't you come yet? My little sister and I have been waiting for you for almost an hour. Am not available, not coming." My voice was muffled when I said this. Ethan responded at once and said in a serious tone, "The best solution for a love injury is to get into another relationship to divert the sadness. Buddy, work hard to try and get you out of it as soon as possible." I was full of helplessness and told him my future plans. I don't have the heart for a relationship anymore. I just want to work hard on my career and wait until my job stabilizes a bit. He wanted to continue with the topic, and I hastened to put it off with my work. My mom had a really hard life when she met my dad. My dad swung back and forth between two women before I was 18, unable to let go of his first love and unwilling to give up our family. Not only did he torture himself, but he also almost drove my mom crazy. It wasn't until I was 18 that he finally made up his mind and abandoned our family. He swept away the family's portable funds and left my mom and me on the streets. It wasn't until the year before last that my mom met her second husband. She said that relationships can't be forced, and even more so, they can't be settled. Once there is a crack in a marriage, it's hard to sew it back up. That's why there's no way I can turn a blind eye to what Emily did this time. I hate people who rock the boat. In my opinion, both men and women should be faithful to their marriages. But she also made me realize, in this world, the only thing that will betray you the least is the little bit of money that goes into your pocket. It's better to have time to grieve than to spend more time to improve yourself. So next, I not only blacked out Emily's phone, but also blacked out her parents' phone. Several times things told me, to break it off, you have to break it off completely. You can't break the ties that bind you together. I put all my focus on self-improvement and work. The whole day at home and company 2 lines. Completely to affect the mood of the people left behind. Resignation. How many days are we traveling? I packed up the things on my desktop and looked up at my new assistant who asked this. 2 days. Just bring a change of clothes. My new assistant was recommended by my last assistant before she resigned. When she went back on maternity leave to bring up her baby, she introduced her sister. I didn't accept nepotism, but I didn't expect her ability to be as good as her sister's, so I kept her on. Sophia was very capable, so I didn't worry about her. But I didn't realize that the first time she made a mistake was when she was on a business trip. At this moment, the two of us stood in the hotel staring blankly. Sophia, slightly anxious, repeatedly asked the front desk lady, "You really do not have a spare room here, Ms. Sue? I've already made it very clear. There are really no spare rooms, and recently it has been raining heavily for a few days in a row. Tourists are stranded in the hotels, and all the hotels are short of rooms. Really?" Seeing that she still wanted to pursue, I let out a mouthful of turbid air and a deep breath. Forget it. One room is one room. It's a good thing she accidentally booked the room as a twin-bedded room out of her habit of traveling with her friends. Otherwise, if there was only one bed, I really wouldn't know what to do. Thinking that men and women are different, I purposely took a bed sheet and made a simple dividing line between the 2 beds. Brother, resignation. Can I call my family? Looking at her carefully inquiring look, I knew what she was thinking. Call. If you're not sure, you can turn on the video. I'll explain to your parents. And when the sky clears tomorrow, I'll go to another hotel and get a room. Otherwise, if a lone man and woman share a room, if others know about it, it will have an impact on us and each other. Soo Hui nodded her head in a serious manner, also listening to my words. She called her parents on the video. Her parents were at first vehement in their words, itching to break through the screen and hit me. I was extremely patient and repeatedly assured them that I wouldn't do anything to her. It was only then that her parents' emotions calmed down. 9 But still, they didn't feel comfortable with her, and told her to always check in with her family. I was helpless. If it weren't for the fact that I have something very important to deal with tomorrow. It's fine for me to sleep in the corridor. Brother resignation. Sleep at ease. They'll mute my cell phone so it won't disturb your rest. Her entire body was shrunk into the quilt. Not even a single strand of hair could be seen. The voice that spoke was buzzing, and without listening carefully one wouldn't even know what she was saying. I was so sleepy that I closed my eyes and went straight to sleep. Luckily, after surviving the night, I heard the receptionist say that there was an empty room. I didn't say a word and directly booked it. That's what avoided the embarrassment that followed. This business trip we ended very quickly. The other party is a person who has worked with me before. We trusted each other, so we quickly solved the cooperation problem. Back in Harbor City, Soo Hui went to the airport's parking lot ahead of me and drove the car over. Brother resignation. In light of how you've taken care of me these past few days, I'll be the one to take you back today. That's fine. I didn't refuse. On the way, I was so sleepy that I yawned, thinking that I would immediately wash up and go to bed when I got back. In the morning, the car finally arrived at my house. I thanked her with gratitude. Soo Hui was embarrassed. Don't be polite. Go back to wash up and rest. See you tomorrow. I smiled back. See you tomorrow. She started her engine and left, seeing her car traveling farther and farther away. I silently retracted my line of sight, but the moment I turned around I met a pair of black eyes with anger. Emila's face was angry. She seemed to be furious. Her eyes filled with rage. You went to a hotel room with her. Her voice with huffing and puffing was a little trembling. More like incredulous. I looked at her furious look and instantly realized whose handiwork this was. I'd only told Ethan about that night's dilemma when I'd been away on business for the past few days. I gathered myself and said indifferently, "What's it to you?" She sucked in a breath of cold air and looked at me with a hurt expression. "Are you getting back at me? Don't take yourself too seriously." I stare back coldly, mimicking her earlier tone of voice in a faint voice. A dirty mind sees dirt everywhere. Emila's form trembles slightly, almost unsteady on her feet. She might actually feel my anger now. Unfortunately, it was too late. I didn't think she'd come back to me after that. But the next day, I saw her again when I went out to work. Emily was still wearing yesterday's clothes, with a tiredness under her eyes that she couldn't hide. "Ah, gee. I bought you breakfast." She carefully handed over what was in her hand. I merely glanced at it and averted my eyes. I've never liked dunked soup dumplings, and every time I acted like I loved them, it was only because they were bought by her. In the past, I never refused what she gave me. But now, I only felt bored. I said in a faint voice, "You're really meaningless like this, Emily. Stop dwelling on it. We should both move on." Saying that, I crossed over to her and walked towards the elevator. Emily didn't hesitate for half a second and hurriedly chased after me. "Ah, gee. I apologize to you for what I said before. What do you want me to do before you're willing to forgive me?" In the narrow elevator, her voice of urgent inquiry was in my ears. I looked at the closed elevator door in front of me, my heart calm and wave-free. It turns out that letting go completely is such a relief. MS. Ching. Do you know what I'm thinking right now? She paused for 2 seconds. What? I'm thinking that it's good that I didn't know you in the first place. Or maybe it would have been better to have stopped in time when I knew about Liam's existence. It wouldn't have been 3 years wasted, hurt flashed in Emily's eyes. Hidden and restrained, but for me, I was lucky to meet you. Hearing this, I found it incredibly ironic. Giving her a sideways glance. As the elevator reached the first floor, I stepped out. Meeting her ardent and expectant gaze, I said with a calm demeanor, "So much for my misfortune, this time." She didn't come after me. I arrived at work and had just sat down when an unfamiliar number sent me a couple of pictures together. They were of Liam and Emily. In the photos, his face was covered in an undisguised smile, and his eyes were filled with love and affection when he looked at her. Similarly, Emily was also smiling like a flower, snuggling in his arms. How well matched and intentional it seemed. I looked on with a raised eyebrow and calmly sent him a message. "Nice picture, but you sent it to the wrong person." After sending the message, I pulled Emily off my blacklist. Then I sent her a screenshot of the message he sent and the previous comment from my friend's circle. And said, "If you don't want to make an embarrassing scene, keep your man in check and don't let it happen again." After making sure the message went out, I once again blacklisted her. After doing this, I instantly felt relief all over. Manager Jiang, congratulations. The moment Suhui came to the office, there was an unconcealable smile hanging at the corner of her mouth. Along with her, a cup of takeaway coffee also appeared on my desk. I raised my eyebrows and asked, "What do you mean by that?" "I just heard my boss on the phone in the elevator, and it's been confirmed that you'll be promoted to manager, so I'll be the first to know and congratulate you first. And don't forget each other if you're rich." I was surprised in my heart. No sooner had her words dropped than the boss sent me to his office. As she said, I was successfully promoted. After coming out of my boss' office, I couldn't suppress the smile at the corner of my mouth. I thought there would be such a day, but I didn't expect it to come so fast. In the afternoon, I left work on time. Instead, I received a call from Ethan. Just as I answered, I heard his excited voice coming through. "Jason, do you know what I just saw?" Without waiting for me to respond, he continued, "I saw Emily and Liam, and Emily looked like she was angry and was confronting him." I didn't have much of an emotional change at that and asked nicely, "And then what happened?" "Then Emily said she didn't like Liam and told him to behave himself." "That's pretty funny. You can go to a room with someone if you don't like them. That's if you like them." Hearing the scoffing coming from my ears, I could barely hold back the laughter that followed. The corner of my mouth slightly hooked, but I raised my head to meet Emily's dark eyes with fondness. There was still regret in her eyes. I gathered my composure as if I hadn't seen her and walked on. But when I was about to cross her, my wrist was clutched. Gee, I know I'm wrong. I was confused before. I didn't know what to do with him. Can you give me another chance? I promise to never interact with him again. Her watery eyes with a thin layer of water mist. Always cool face with guilt and regret. But there was no turning back medicine in this world, and not every mistake was worth forgiving. Emily, don't you feel disgusted when you are saying this? Only you know what happened to you in the hotel that night. But I'm no fool, so don't make me make it so clear. Emily, her face ashen, shuddered and asked, "You really can't forgive me. I was drunk that night. I have no memory of it at all." These words. Just lie to yourself. We've been together for 3 years. What kind of person are you? Don't I know? I let out a sneer. There are plenty of women better than you in this world. Why should I hang myself on you? Emily, don't take yourself too seriously. I pushed her hand away unceremoniously. Disgusted. I wiped and scrubbed the spot where she had touched it on my shirt. Emila's face plummeted as if she was going to burst into tears the next second. But I didn't care anymore. From the time she did this, she should have expected this day. Just then, Soo-hui suddenly ran in from outside the company in a state of distress. Shouting, "Manager Jiang, it's pouring outside. Can I take your ride?" Looking at her soaking wet little pitiful appearance, I couldn't help but laugh out loud and raise the car keys in my hand. Go. End. Kindergarten Family Day. Wife Serena excuse company something. And let my daughter and I also do not go to participate. Looked at the daughter lost little face. I cannot help but heartache. Decided to take their daughters to go. When I entered the park, I saw Serena holding a little boy in one hand and her childhood friend Victor in the other. Just like a real family of three, talking, laughing, and having a good time. It wasn't until she saw me and my daughter that Serena frowned slightly and let go of Victor's hand. Ryan, don't get me wrong. It's not easy for Victor to be single with a baby, and today is the baby's 5th birthday, so he wanted to feel some motherly love. I gave her a meaningful look, squatted down, and took my daughter's little hand. Baby, call Mrs. Carter good. Victor saw this and hurriedly took his son over, with an apologetic face. Ryan, you don't be angry. Serena is kind. This child grew up without a mother. And today is his 5th birthday. Serena helped to fulfill a mother's dream only. I stared at him with a smirk. In that case, since and I are here, shouldn't Serena be given back to us? After all, we are the real family of 3. Victor was slightly baffled, but it was his son in his arms who quit. Mommy, you promised to spend the day with me and Daddy. The 5-year-old glared at me with fierce eyes. I raised an eyebrow. Mommy is calling. Before I could say anything else, Serena stepped in front of the two of them in a defensive stance. Her tone was a little impatient. Ryan, you have kids too. Don't you have any empathy? Victor and I grew up together as a couple. I'm just accompanying the grandparents for one day. Just one day. Do you even care about that? I laughed in exasperation. Did I cause Victor's misfortune? Just then, the other parents of the kindergarten entered one after another with their children, and some came over to say hello. Lucas mom, Lucas dad, good morning. Every kindergarten family day your family of 3 comes in a neat and tidy manner. Unlike my old Cheen, who says he's busy at work without moving and doesn't care about his child's growth at all. Victor awkwardly returned a greeting and Serena's eyes flashed with panic. I couldn't help but question. Serena, is this what you call just one day? Annoyed, Serena took me by the arm. Ryan, there are a lot of people here. Don't be ridiculous. Then she looked down at her daughter and lowered her voice. It's not good for if we make a big deal out of it. Don't you think so? The daughter suddenly heard her name and looked around blankly. But it seems she can't figure out what's going on. Just clinging to my calf, tugging at my little hand that's already sweaty. Sensing her unease, I crouched down and touched her punchy tug, saying softly, "Nothing scares you with Daddy." I looked at Serena's back as she left with Victor and Lucas. In no time, they were surrounded by a crowd. Some people greeted Serena with a patronizing smile on their face. They only praised her for her successful career, being one of the strongest women in the city, and becoming the boss of a company with a market capitalization of $10 billion in her early 30s. Serena was arrogant and proud, and her tail was about to rise to the sky. Victor, on the other hand, was staring at Serena with a burning gaze, with a look of honor. Lucas, who was held in Serena's arms, suddenly glanced back at me and made a provocative face. I couldn't help but sneer at the bottom of my heart. It seems Serena has drifted. Although I have reduced my time at the company due to taking care of during this period of time, 75 of the shares of Summit Wings Group are in my hands, and I am the actual person at the helm of the company. And she is just the beginning of the evening on my thighs. Look at the husband and wife on the score. Hung a manager title. I opened my cell phone and sent it to the company's personnel. Xiao Zhao. Transfer Serena from the position of manager. And make an internal official announcement next Monday. Then sent it to company legal. Xiao Lu. Draft a divorce agreement between Serena and me. Serena Serena. If you want to cuckold me, you also have to see if I agree. Not long after, the kindergarten family day program officially began. Each family sat at a pre-prepared table, and EE looked at Serena, who was sitting in the front row, and asked me. Lost in thought, why isn't mommy sitting with us? I pinched my daughter's soft cheeks. She's still too young to be involved in such dirty business. Because daddy is Superman, and to be fair, mommy is going to help the other kids. Just then, the kindergarten teacher announced the start of the first building block activity, and said with a smile, the first place has a prize. It's a spaceship Lego. EE suddenly got excited and pointed at the spaceship. Daddy, I want it. Okay. Let's go for it. As the hourglass was about to run out, EE raised her little hand and shouted excitedly, Teacher. We're done. The teacher nodded and was about to make the announcement when a little boy ran over from the front row. It was Lucas, who pushed down the blocks we had put together and said, "I'll take first place now." EE looked at the collapsed blocks, and with tears in her eyes, she picked up a large wooden block and smashed it at Lucas. The first thing Serena said when she came over was, "EE, how can you hit someone?" Quickly apologized to brother Lucas. Yui got stubborn. I don't. He pushed my blocks first. He's the bad guy. I stood firmly behind my daughter, Serena. Anyone with eyes can see who started it. It should be Lucas who apologizes to Yui. Victor also followed over and pulled Serena's arm. Serena, let it go. Let's just forget about it. Adults don't remember small people's faults. The kindergarten teacher also wanted to round up the situation. Just then, EE suddenly fell straight to tears in aggravation. Mom, why don't you protect me, and even be mean to me? This voice of mom instantly stunned everyone in place. Eyes hovering between Serena, Victor and I. Serena's face was red and white for a moment, and Victor had a look of wanting to say something. At that moment, Lucas stood in front of EE with his arms crossed and said fiercely, "Who's your mom? What are you screaming about?" "This is my mom." My daughter was viciously hiccuped. She cried with tearful eyes. Her little milky voice shouted out in broken tones, "Mommy, you talk." My heart broke. I gave Serena a stern look and my voice was much harsher. "Serena, aren't you going to explain? Going to watch us father and daughter be misunderstood?" Serena's eyes glared and she hugged Lucas. "Explain what? I am Lucas' mom today." After saying that, she even touched the back of Lucas' head. In an instant, the other parents were pointing at my daughter and me. Why is this child recognizing his mom indiscriminately? In the past, EE's family didn't seem to participate in the kindergarten family day. And this time, it's only the dad too. Do you think it's someone's mistress? I heard that this Serena is a group boss. Especially rich. I can't say it's his father who wants to eat soft rice. Seduced Serena. And was misunderstood by his own daughter who bumped into him, while my daughter and I were being attacked by gossip. Serena on the other side didn't say a word. She was just coaxing Lucas, and Victor who was standing on the side held back his laughter and glanced at me. I hugged my daughter, who was crying so much she couldn't help herself, and patted her gently. As much as I wanted to slap the scummy couple, it wasn't the right time and I couldn't let my daughter get hurt anymore. At this time, the person who wanted to flatter Serena said fawningly, "How much the little son and Mr. Shin look alike. It looks like they are mother and son." I raised my eyes and glanced at Serena, who had a flash of weakness in her eyes and then snorted, while Victor was a spring chicken. I've seen this father and son before. How come I never realized that Serena and Lucas have a real resemblance in their eyebrows? Over here EE couldn't stop crying. I had to ask the teacher to take me to the lounge, trying to calm my daughter down first. When I got to the restroom, I coaxed my daughter to calm down and gradually she fell asleep. Looking at her red and swollen eyelids from crying, my heart turned into a lump. I walked out gently, walked to the corner of the corridor and dialed the phone number of Personnel and Legal Affairs. Xiao Zhao and Xiao Lu, you guys come to the kindergarten right now with Serena and his marriage license, as well as the drafted divorce agreement, and the company's letter of dismissal. Be quick. Just as I continued to communicate the details with them, I suddenly heard a scream, my daughter's voice. My heart plummeted to the bottom. At the end of the hallway, in the doorway of the bathroom, EE had been pushed and shoved to the ground and was sobbing with each sob. The person who surrounded her and hit the head was Lucas. He had a fierce look on his face. I told you to recognize your mom. See if I won't beat you to death today. After saying that, he kicked EE's stomach. EE wailed in pain and tried to hide, but was caught by the little boy behind him. Junior's child deserves to be beaten up. My mom said that this kind of bastard child should be strangled at birth. EE waved her little hands in defiance, crying uncontrollably. You're bullshitting me. That's my mom. Daddy. Mommy, come and save EE. EE is in pain. Daddy. Mommy. Where are you? The moment I saw it, my brain buzzed with a loud bang. My blood rushed, and the veins in my body were about to explode. Those little boys looked at each other when they found me, and when they saw that my expression was too fierce, they fled in the form of birds and beasts. I held EE in my arms, only to realize that she was shaking terribly, and hurriedly called 120. Fear not, baby. Daddy's here. Daddy's here. By the time the 120 arrived, the other parents were curious about what had happened. I grabbed my daughter and made a mad dash for the ambulance. As I passed by, Serena was all smiles and Lucas was putting together blocks while Victor wiped Serena's sweat. She looked up when she heard the commotion with a puzzled look on her face, and when she got up and came over, she just asked me, "What's going on? What's wrong with Yui?" Victor then tugged on her hand. Serena said we'd stay with Lucas today. You have no idea how happy Lucas was when I told him last night that you could stay with him all day today. Serena paused in her tracks and I was already in the ambulance with Yui. Yui had fainted and the doctors were in the car testing for resuscitation. When a female doctor lifted EE's dress, she couldn't help but exclaim, "How can you lay such a heavy hand on such a small child?" I was instantly readied and panicked. The little person's milky white skin was blue and purple, and the side of her waist was a fist-sized bruise. Her body was uncontrollably trembling lightly. And the doctor's tone was suddenly urgent. "Quick, get on the instruments." 2 hours had passed since EE was resuscitated, and those 2 hours were like years. Remorse and hatred intertwined in my heart, flourished and grew, rampaging through my body. My mom shed tears of pain and complained to me, "How do you look at the child? Ah, this is how much suffering." E on the hospital bed hanging water weakly opened her eyes and looked at me blankly. "Dad, why do they say that E is the child that mom doesn't want? Ah, but obviously E has a mom. Why doesn't mommy protect E anymore?" I gently dropped a kiss on her forehead and told her, "Daddy will always protect E forever. E is Daddy's most beloved baby. As for mommy, we're the ones who don't want her." When I returned to the kindergarten again, the activity day was on its last item. Serena was patiently coloring the picture. Lucas was quietly snuggled in his arms, and Victor was taking a picture of the two of them with a contented look on his face. It's a great picture of a happy family. But why should my daughter be lying in the hospital right now while the evildoer is enjoying happiness here? I rushed straight over to Victor and slapped him hard without saying a word. The force of the slap made him stumble and hit the corner of the table behind him with a thud. The sudden sound of the slap made everyone freeze. Serena yelled, "Ryan, what are you doing?" Serena even yelled, Ryan, what are you doing? She then rushed to check Victor's condition, her eyes full of heartache. Victor, does it hurt? Victor shook his head and played pitiful. Ryan, did you misunderstand something? I apologize. I sneered. Isn't just a verbal apology too insincere? After saying that, I was about to punch him again. Serena saw this and was about to stop me. I turned around and threw it straight at Serena's face. The red marks on her face were clearly visible. Serena covered her face and froze for a second, and then went crazy. Ryan, are you out of your mind? I gave you a face, didn't I? At this point, the kindergarten teacher rushed over to stop the fight and asked me what was going on. I pointed my finger at Lucas and gritted my teeth. This little brat took advantage of my inattention and led a few little boys to round up my daughter and beat her up. As soon as my words left my mouth, Victor said eagerly, "No way. Lucas is well behaved, Serena. You have to believe me." I stepped forward. "No way. Then why do you think 120 just came?" Serena once again stood in front of Victor and Lucas as a protector. What kind of bad intentions can kids have? It's unavoidable to fight together, but you're the one making a big deal out of it. Coming up here and hitting people like a madman, seeing that I was raging. Serena simply took advantage of my inattention to reach out and use her whole body strength to push me to the ground. The palm of her hand grazed the ground and oozed blood. Those who wanted to flatter Serena followed along with the condescending taunts and insults. This is not a bumper sticker, right? Knowing that Mr. Shin's family is big and powerful to come here to blackmail money. Don't look at yourself. You'll know how to cry when you're cleaned up by Summit Wings Group's legal department. Do you think this is the one who tried to seduce Mr. Shin before and came here to mess around? Not even looking at how far away he is from his boss. It's true that she's a mistress. Just at this moment, the whistling sound of cars came from far and near, and soon 3 high-grade commercial vehicles stopped at the kindergarten entrance. A Sharpie parent couldn't help but exclaim, "There's a Summit Wings Group logo on the car. It's a high-level car." Someone continued to be dogged. "Mr. Shin is really great." This called the group's legal affairs. After that, this person severely pooed me, gloating, "You're finished." Who does not know? Shinyu Legal Affairs, known as the undefeated king of Brookside City, waiting to lose money, squatting in jail. There are parents who have been doing netizens have long been excited, holding up their cell phones. I didn't expect to meet the big news today. Old Iron Men. Quickly point and click to pay attention. Give you a live broadcast of what happens to this male green tea. Victor reacted and looked at Serena with a face of surprise and affection, while Lucas beside him was even more condescending. Serena, who was being held by all the stars, however, had a flash of disbelief in her eyes, and looked down at me. I propped up the ground with one hand, endured the pain and slowly stood up. The corner of my mouth hooked up a cold smile. Seeing the situation has become big, the kindergarten director rushed over, frowned and spoke to me in a serious manner. Father, you quickly do not be stubborn, and immediately apologize to Mr. Shin to make amends to them, where the arm twisted over the thigh. I shook my head to the head gardener. She stared at me and sighed. I know your character won't lie, but reality is reality. Those centuries-old groups have a lot of energy. Where is it that you can mess with awe? At this time, the elites in suits coming down from the business car were about to walk to the activity area. Those who were watching the show, those who were holding Serena's lapdogs, and the parents who were holding up their cell phones all had an expression that they were about to have a good show. They were scowling and gloating at me. Only Serena stepped forward, lowered her voice and stared at me. Did you call them? Are you that careful that you have to make a big deal out of it? Don't forget, I'm the general manager of the company now. I'm their immediate superior. I smiled at her. Well, see then. Victor saw Serena and I talking and rushed over, still with that teary look. Serena, I know you're feeling aggrieved by me bringing all the group's legal affairs here to back me up. But this matter today, I am also at fault. Let's just forget about it. As he spoke, he was pitiful, purposely exposing his face, which was swollen from my beating, to Serena. His son Lucas stretched out his hand and was about to push me. I told you to bully Dad. Later Mom's subordinates will beat you up so much that you won't be able to find your way out. I took the opportunity to take a step back and Lucas, unsupported, fell to the ground with a thud. A big lump swelled up on his forehead. What are you doing bullying a child? What if it gets knocked out? Serena's eyes widen. I couldn't help but retaliate. Serena, are you blind? Victor hurriedly hugged Lucas and glared at me. How much strength can he have as a kid? It was just a push. Why did you hit him so hard? Ryan, why are you so angry at me? The child is innocent. Serena was irritated by Victor's words and was so angry that she wanted to grab me. By this time, the men in suits had walked up to Serena and me. The other onlookers were waiting for me to be brought under control by the security guards who had come along for the ride. Then to be taught a hard lesson by Serena to take it out on Victor. Instead, I saw the tendon-covered bodyguard cross directly in front of me. With a yank on Serena's outstretched arm, he flung the man 2 meters away with brute force. For a moment everyone froze in place. How is this not what was expected? Serena regained her footing and yelled at the security guard in front of me. You don't want to do this anymore. I'm the general manager. I'm the one who pays your salary. The dog's leg who had flattered Serena earlier, cautiously hovered between Serena and I with his gaze, inquiring, Mr. Shen, are these people mistaken? The others also looked at each other as if they were waking up from a dream. All confused by the scene in front of them, Victor grasped Serena with an aggrieved face. Serena, aren't you the general manager of Summit Wings Group? But you have to make a decision for us, Lucas. Victor was obviously clueless and was still convinced that these people were the ones Serena had called. He had both resentment and smugness in his eyes, which was not even pretending anymore. Just then, another wave of elite men in suits came towards us, the one at the head with gold-rimmed glasses. It is the head of Xingyes Legal Affairs, the little Lu in my mouth. A person from the legal mouth had sharp eyes. This is a great god of the real legal world. I actually saw a real person today. I've heard about it. This person has 5 consecutive years of undefeated litigation cases. Xiao Lu brushed past Serena, ignoring the fact that Serena called him by name, and greeted me respectfully. Xing Dong, everything has been done according to your instructions. His voice was not loud, but clear enough that those present looked at me in surprise. What? Dong Jing, did I hear you right? Aren't these people from Xinyu? And isn't Serena the general manager of Xinyu? How come they're all on Ryan's side? The netizen who was live streaming got excited. Old timers, there's a reversal in this. Victor was a bit flustered, but he was still pretending to be calm. Serena, what's going on here? Aren't these the people you found? Serena ignored him and came over to talk to me instead. She lowered her voice. Do you have to make each other look bad? No matter what. I'm also Yi's mom. Yi will be sad. Then, commandingly, she said, quickly make these people leave. You also leave quickly. We'll talk about what we have to say at home. Ryan, stop this nonsense. I said in a single word. How do you have the face to mention Yi? You don't deserve to be her mother. I took my eyes off of him and turned to look around at everyone. Throwing my hands together, I spoke. Everything that happened today has to come to an end. To reintroduce myself, I'm Yi Jing's father and the chairman of Summit Wings Group. And she, I pointed to Serena who was not far away, is nothing more than a woman who has fallen into our Jing family's lap. I took my and Serena's marriage license from Xiao Lu, displayed it and slammed it hard on the ground. In that instant, I read the wolfishness in Serena's eyes. But where was this going? Everyone's mouths were open and their eyes wide. A resourceful parent who was a netizen immediately gave a close-up of the marriage license on the floor. Old-timers at large. Isn't this reversal coming? Everyone look. This is the real Junior. After saying that, she was about to dislike the camera on Victor's face. Victor's shocked expression hadn't recovered yet, and he hurriedly blocked his face with his hand. Don't take the picture. The other onlookers' parents also murmured. So we're misunderstanding. Who wouldn't misunderstand this? This is too outrageous, right? Who is a good person letting their husband and daughter not accompany them, and care for their mistress and mistress' son in public? This is the first time I've seen such a shameless person. Shameless with shameless. Also a perfect match. As for those who support Serena's lapdogs, they are accustomed to following the trend and cursing Serena and Victor. Serena was infuriated. Ryan, do you have to make me lose face? How are you going to make Yui behave in the future? Victor seems to figure out the situation. Posturing tears. It's all my fault. It's me who asked Serena to help. Lucas grew up without a mom. I just asked Serena to help pretend to be his mother for a day. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? It's all our fault. After saying this, he kneeled down in front of me and started to smack himself. Serena and Lucas rushed to stop him, and Serena glared at me with red eyes. Do you have to force Victor to die? There are always people in this world who use a show of weakness to gain sympathy. And with Victor's maneuvering, some people are really starting to sympathize with her. Hey. It's just a poor father trying to have a successful 5th birthday for his son. This is to force them to die by virtue of their power. I stepped forward and gazed at him with a playful expression. Is it really just a simple favor? Victor was stunned, and without even giving him time to react, I had Xiaolu fling out the results of a survey. The crowd completely exploded at this. Back then, Serena had a period of time where she said she wanted to study abroad for more than a year. I had just taken over the group at the time and couldn't care less about her. And ripe for a long deception. During that time, Serena was pregnant with Victor's child, and Victor accompanied her throughout the entire process. As evidenced by the images and files from the maternity hospital, Victor is indeed a single father. But the child has always had a mother, which is Serena. It's no wonder that over the years, Serena would buy gifts for Yi every year, and buy one for Lucas as well. I didn't think about it carefully, but now that I look back, it's just broken in every way. I remember one year when influenza A swept through Brookside City, and Yi had symptoms and was sick all day. I asked someone to bring back a special medicine for Yui, but the next day it was gone. I questioned Serena about it, and she said, with averted eyes, that it was a friend's child who had a high fever, and that it was a life-saving medicine. I was furious. While other people's children are the apple of their eye, my Yi is my life. That time, Yi was in pain for a long time, and her body was red and hot with high fever. My heart was torn for a long time. But when Serena blabbed later, I realized that the special medicine was given to Vicky. The special medicine was given to Victor, and Lucas was not infected at all. But Victor said, Serena, I'm afraid that Lucas is also infected, and I want to have a medicine on hand. Serena gave it to him. From that time on, I already had my suspicions and sent someone to start investigating. It wasn't until today that I finally got the real deal. Serena, Victor, you pair of dogs. Do you have anything else to say? I flung the evidence hard in their faces. The thin crispy A4 paper cut Serena's face and oozed blood. Everyone followed in anger. It was shameless to the core. All have a child with someone, but still evening the rich second generation. Take the assets of the rich second generation to support the ex and illegitimate child. Serena wiped her face and let out a sudden laugh. She stared at me with a cold deadpan face. You know it all. So what? Now that we're married, even if we're divorced, they'll still get half of your family's assets. Not to mention, At this stage, when you're not in the company, the business department of the company is already firmly under my control. I can completely set up my own business. I laughed as well. If it wasn't for my tacit approval, where would those business backbones and overseas students listen to her orders? What's more, I made all the important decisions in the company, and she was just a pawn in the open. But apparently, the pawn didn't think so. I asked Xiaolu to hand her the divorce papers. What? Netting, Ryan, you're dreaming. That's never going to happen. If you want a divorce, you have to give me half of the Xing family fortune. Serena looked at me provocatively as she tore the divorce agreement to shreds. I asked Lee from the personnel office to give Serena the letter of dismissal, and she tore it to shreds again. I looked at the sky of shredded paper, also smiled. It didn't matter. After all, today was just notice, and like everyone said, my team of lawyers had never lost a battle. It's much easier to leave things to the law instead. But through the live streaming of the netizen, Serena and Victor's reputation is real stinky. Short for socially dead, Serena and Victor were about to leave with Lucas when I had the bodyguard stop the people. Serena looked back at me with a sinister face. What do you mean? I just directed my gaze at the netizen mom. Do you want the heat to climb another level? The netizen mom's eyes lit up. I nodded towards Xiaolu. Then start playing. The projector at the very front. The figure of her daughter appeared, followed by Lucas with people surrounding her. I told you to identify your mom indiscriminately. See if I don't beat you up today. Junior's child deserves to be beaten up. Dad. Mom. Where are you? Many of the parents present could no longer bear to watch, and even more moms and dads shed tears on the spot. At this moment, reliving that experience that was like a nightmare. I couldn't wait to kill that little brat. Seeing that my eyes are too hard and fierce, Serena alertly blocked in front of Lucas. I clenched my fists. My heart was dripping blood. I can't imagine how helpless and scared my EE was. It's Dad who didn't protect you. Don't worry, Dad will definitely take revenge for you. So that the bad guys all get what they deserve. Parents with a conscience in the audience all sucked in a breath of cold air. This is not a small fight. This is simply the devil on earth. Where would any child do such a thing and say such vicious words? And it wasn't even the parents who taught them. All the parents empathized with me at this moment as they cried out for the parents of these offending children to be severely punished. They must get out of kindergarten. Yes. Or our children will be the next victims. Get out of the kindergarten, Serena. Victor and the parents who were involved in hurting E thought it was just a child's fault. But Serena yelled, "What are you guys arguing about? Isn't it normal for children to fight? Why are you making such a fuss? I'm E's own mother. I didn't care. I didn't pursue. Who are you to say anything?" I stared at her dead in the face. Serena. EE is also your daughter. Don't you feel any pain at all watching her being bullied? Didn't you hear? She's saying over and over again that she's in pain and she wants her mom's protection. Serena, do you really have no conscience at all? EE is your own daughter. Serena was a bit weak from what I said by looking at her, but still hardened her heart and said, EE was just a bit injured. Isn't she fine now? How could you? Without waiting for me to fire, the other parents couldn't look away. This is not what a mom would say. Even if she cares about her illegitimate child, does she not care about her own daughter? This child is still so small. How poor spread such a cold-hearted cold-lung mom. She's an animal in human skin. She's worse than an animal. Serena was said to have no face and glared fiercely at the people who were pointing at her. Then turned around and tried to leave. Just then, the police came. I handed over the video along with the identification report of EE's injuries. The police then said seriously, the parents involved should come with us. It was at this time that they started to panic. Unfortunately, it was already too late. The child was a minor, but that didn't mean the guardians weren't legally responsible. After that day, EE gradually got better, and I took everyone who hurt EE to court. I told EE, "Baby, Daddy will protect you and get justice for you." The little one seemed to understand, and drilled into my arms, calling me Daddy, Daddy, Daddy in a little milky voice. In the face of huge compensation, these parents came to my door and begged bitterly, wanting to reconcile with me. Some even brought their children and beat them to death in front of my house. "I let you bully people, I'll let you bully, beat the child to death. Jing dong, we have educated the child. You will be an adult. The Prime Minister's belly can hold the boat. Forgive us. Our family gives you a knee, but I still won't let go. I will never forgive the person who hurt my daughter." As for Serena, Victor and Lucas, the family of 3, they can't even get out of the door now. The online heat continues to build, with the general public calling Serena a white-eyed wolf and Lucas a wolf cub. Every day, people go to their door to throw rotten eggs and red paint. But that's not all. In just a few days, I filed a divorce suit, a suit to recover marital property and a suit against Serena for misappropriating company property through her position. Serena had been to the company, but her access had been confiscated a long time ago and she was locked out. In her day-to-day life, she prided herself on being an executive and a superior person. Now not only has Summit Wings Group fired her, but other companies will not want someone who is so brazen. She simply contacted her former business leader privately with the intention of going it alone, but she was simply blackballed and ignored by him. She rushed to me and questioned me. "Did you instruct them to interfere with the freedom of business colleagues?" I only found it laughable. "Serena, you're a stinking piece of shit now, but who in their right mind would think of hanging out with shit?" I ignored her barking and just told security to blow people away. She shouted, "I'm the mistress of this house, the general manager of Xinyu. Who among you dares to touch me?" No one ignored her or cared about her, and forked her out like a stray dog. The divorce lawsuit soon went to court, and the online heat was once again fired up. Because the nature of her cheating was just too bad, and it caused major social ill effects, it was a straight net. She was not willing to, in the courtroom yelling, the judge directly let the bailiff to control people. The internet poured brushes. "This is simply a great joy. This is the slag woman's retribution. Bah. Deserved." The ensuing case of unlawful misappropriation of company property through the use of her position had enough evidence to send Serena in for a few years. A few days later, she stopped the car on my way to the office. At this moment, she was already haggard. Her hair was almost half white, no longer standing in a high position to be pursued by people's will. She half bowed and finally lowered her head. "Ryan, I was wrong. I've made it clear to Victor. And I promise I won't hang out with him anymore. I'm Ye's mom after all. Forgive me for Ye's sake. Okay, Ryan. Let's remarry. Give Yi a complete home. You let me go back to Xinyu again. No need to be a general manager. Just be a director." At the moment I was sitting in a luxury car, looking indifferently at Serena through the half-lowered window. "Serena, you also think too highly of yourself. In kindergarten, when EE wanted your protection, where were you? And you deserve to mention EE." I told the driver to just drive the car away, leaving her far behind. As Yi and I left him far behind in our lives. Hearing from Serena again, she'd gone in for squatting. As for the whole recovering Serena's property that was transferred to Victor, it was too easy for the legal team. Legal told me that even Victor's current house was secretly bought by Serena. Victor now has to rent a room in the middle of the city. Like Serena, his reputation is so bad that no company dares to hire him. He had also planned to set up a stall, but the netizens recognized him at once and directly smashed her stall. After that, One could only make a living by picking up garbage. The children who had mobbed EE were also asked to quit school at the request of other parents. I heard that they were also very unpopular with the teachers when they went to other kindergartens. The children who had hurt EE were isolated in the new kindergarten. It's understandable. After all, whose parent wants their child to play with violent kids? As for Lucas, he arrived at the new kindergarten and was taunted for being the child of a mistress. He was furious and lost his mind, and went up to a group of 6-year-olds to do battle. The result is predictable. Where is the opponent? Is a one-sided beatings. Then saw blood. Go to the hospital for a checkup. Was beaten out of the concussion and leg fracture. Victor was so angry and heartbroken that he begged his grandparents for help, but he could only take him to pick up garbage. I saw this father and son again on the snack street. Both of them were dirty, their hair was disheveled, and they were digging through trash cans one by one. I, on the other hand, was sitting in my limousine, on my way to order my daughter her favorite Queen's cake. Ends.